Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. My name is Andy Gurka. I'm the Director of Student Involvement for the University of Richmond and work with all of our partners around campus to help host these New Spider Summer Series. So we're excited to have you join us tonight. We are glad to have Blake Stack and Michael Smart from our Bonner Center for Civic Engagement, who run the Bonner Scholars Program here for the university, who are here to tell you a little bit about the program, the application process, and I'll answer any questions that you may have about the program. So I will turn it over to them in 1 second. They'll give a presentation. There'll be plenty of time at the end for questions and answers. If you have a question that you want to ask them, just use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. And you can type a question to Michael and Blake at any point throughout it, and they'll answer it at the end. So I'll turn it over to them. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen with all of you in just a second here before we jump in.
Thank you so much, Andy. It's great to have everybody here. Can't wait to see everybody in person. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So welcome, friends. So glad you could join us. Again, as Andy has said, my name is Blake Stack, and this is my colleague, Michael Smart. We both work here at the Center for Civic Engagement, particularly on the student engagement team. And we want to start off briefly just by giving you an overview of the Center for Civic Engagement before we jump right into the Bonner Scholars Program. We thought it might be helpful to give you a little context of where the Bonner Scholars Program is situated before going into all of the things that the Bonner Scholars Program entails. So real briefly, we just wanted to share that this is essentially how we understand civic engagement. We think of it as a collaborative endeavor in which we are trying to make a difference in the civic life of a community while collectively growing in our knowledge and values. So this is not about any one particular person showing up in the community, dumping their knowledge and expertise, but this is really about a collaborative effort in which we're building a sense of community with people. And out of that community, we are working for social change here in the Richmond region. So as you think about the Bonner Scholars Program, it's not to be thought of as an individual endeavor, but as a community that you are joining and becoming a part of as we do this work, again, here in the Richmond region. And this influences how we think about our mission as a center. And our mission is that we prepare students for lives of purpose, and we connect students, faculty, staff, and community stakeholders in social change efforts that value the knowledge and potential in our communities. Again, so you see everyone represented here, students, faculty, staff, community partners. This is a collective endeavor in which we are working towards the goals that our community members have outlined as we show up, get involved, mentor, tutor, work at health clinics, all of those things. We're doing that as a collective effort. So whatever you're interested in, whatever you're passionate about, we hope that you will find a pathway to get involved through our center to be engaged in the Richmond region. And whether you are a first-time volunteer or someone who's really passionate about this work, again, we hope that you'll find an avenue to be engaged here in the region. We do this a little bit through our Spiders Engage volunteer posting. This is an online platform that we use here at the center where you can search all of the different volunteer opportunities that you might want to get engaged in. But we also do lots of events and excursions throughout the year to get you involved, again, here in the Richmond region. And here's just a few examples of some of those that we've done over the past year. Working with different professors, doing seminars on protecting voting rights. We did a series on how the monuments came down earlier this fall. And then over this past spring, we've done several different perspective workshops. We've done down to the school board, learning more about how local government is impacting the well-being of children. So education is a huge part of what we're doing here at the center. And as a result, these are just some quick numbers that reflect the work that we're doing. We have 72 sustained community relationships. Over 785 students took a community-based learning course throughout the course of the year. We had 16 civic fellows. This is kind of pre-COVID numbers. These are students who get connected with a faculty member and explore a research question that's of interest to them here in the community. And then we had 859 students get engaged in some of those educational events that we were talking about. And last but not least, we have 100 Bonner Scholars in the program, 25 per class year. And we know that's what many of you came here to learn about. So this is a nice segue, and I'll kick it off to Mike, and he's going to explain a little bit more about that particular program.
Great segue, Blake. And so, guys, I think one of the best things about our center is honestly the Bonner Scholars. And what it essentially is you see the definition. Here's where we work with students who are committed to doing meaningful service in our community throughout their time here at the University of Richmond. And so what we do is make sure it is an application process, and you guys should have gotten some communications from admissions about that, but we'll talk about how to apply a little later. But it's an opportunity for you to stay engaged your entire time while you're in the program. Blake, can you go to the next slide? So what you say, like, so what happens as a Bonner Scholar? Like, I like to get involved, but like, what do I do? So what we ask you to do, a part of our program, is to do about 10 hours a week to work with a nonprofit at a school or government agency. And we'll, of course, compensate you for that time. And we'll talk about compensation a tad bit later as well. You also work with some on-campus events to do some reflective exercises to really find yourself in a space to grow from your freshman year, going all the way up into your senior year throughout your time in our program. We have a variety of different educational events that you'll take part of, that you'll help us plan. We try to do our best to make sure that we're not, just doing events that sound good to Mike and Blake. No, we want to do events that yield to you guys' wants and needs, and also yield to the needs and wants of the community that we live in, which is Richmond. And then also we want to deepen all of our understandings of social issues. I think all of us know today the world is very different than it was a few years ago, not just because of the pandemic, but just because we're now in a global society. So we want to help you guys navigate those social issues, and also prepare yourself, last but not least, prepare you for active citizenship on campus and off. That also yields to your international opportunities as well too. So we want to put you in a space to feel like you're growing from your freshman year going all the way up into your senior year in our program. And so, like, we want to make sure this is digestible, because that's a lot of information that I just gave you. So the first year you're in our program, let's say, oh my gosh, Mike, I'm interested, I want to be a part, you apply. The first year in our program is really like, I would say like a preparatory year, right? We're trying to put you in a space where we're making sure you're, first of all, it's your first year in college, right? So we're trying to make sure you explore your interests. Blake, a few slides ago, talked about our issue areas. So we'll talk through those issue areas, make sure you're prepared to go out in the community. We'll also introduce you to some of those campus partners that we referred to a lot earlier, to make sure you can kind of see some of the good work that they're doing in the community. You'll be able to talk to older bonders as well too, to hear about some of the projects that they've worked on. And then through that process, we also go through an application process to pair you with one of those organizations. So per the opportunities that we have at our disposal, we'll allow you to work on your resume, work on your cover letter. So it's another piece of our program is professional development as well too, which will yield to you working with the permanent site for the rest of your time in the program. I will say we do see students find themselves to maybe even pick up secondary sites within the program, or let's say your interest may change. You may be very interested in arts and culture right now, but as you're growing through your time at the University of Richmond, you really get involved with sustainability. Well, our job is to work with you to find out ways that we can really make sure you're engaged civically in the places that you're interested in. And so, Blake, I'm gonna pass it over to you for our next portion.
All right, thank you. Yes, so as Mike said, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the sophomore, junior, and senior year. This is after your first year in the program. And if Mike pretty much explained it as you're having a broad overview, right? You're exploring lots of things. We're giving you time to settle in. Your sophomore, junior, and senior year are really about going deeper into the program, where you are getting connected with a nonprofit organization and growing in your skills and expertise as a part of being an intern with them. So maybe the second year you're with that organization, you're starting to lead some programs. Third year, you're starting to maybe recruit other students who would want to come to that organization. And by the time you're a fourth year, you're really a standout leader at that organization, really giving a vision to other students across the university and even in the program of what it would look like to engage in the community. And some of the things that we do to support you in that process is we have these annual cornerstones. The Virginia Statewide Exchange is something you would do your sophomore year. It's an event where you connect with all different kinds of Bonners across Virginia to essentially understand how they do their work in the community and share some information about their programs. It's a real moment of kind of solidarity where you get to basically say, well, other people are doing this kind of work too. And so students often walk away from that program incredibly encouraged because they know that there's lots of other Bonners across the state who are doing this work as well. Junior Journey is a little bit more reflective. We go downtown, we might go to an art studio and just really spend a day together preparing for your senior year, which leads to our annual presentations of learning. Our annual presentations of learning, it's an event that we advertise across the entire university. You get to stand up and reflect on your 4 years of service that you've participated in through the Bonner Scholars Program. So it's a really special night. It's a really special moment. It's one of the highlights for us to kind of stand with you and stand alongside of you as you get to present again about all the work that you've done and all the learning that you've done over the course of your 4 years. So that's kind of a good overview. There is one thing that we didn't necessarily talk about is the summer service portion. And Mike, do you want to talk about that real quick before we go into the funding?
Yeah, so a part of our program is and I think one of the assets of our program is that during the summertime, we want our students to kind of be forwarding not just what they learned in our program in the academic year during the fall and the spring, we also want them to kind of practice that over the summertime as well too. So we require all of our students to basically find an internship that's within the social justice impact opportunity areas with a nonprofit or within a government agency. We've also even been able to put in some mechanisms to allow students to do some research potentially as well too. And we compensate you as well too, which I know Blake will talk about that compensation as well. And so what we want students to do is, and I think the baseline of our entire program is to grow. And as you grow, we want to put opportunities in front of you to help you with that growth, whether it be during the academic year and then also during the summertime as well too. And so that summer service is around about 280 hours during the summer, with around about 7 weeks minimum to 14 weeks maximum. And so again, we compensate you very well, in my opinion. So we'll get in, Blake. We'll get into those compensations right now, actually.
Yes, we will. There we go. Nice funding. So yes, thanks, Mike. So as Mike was saying, students do receive funding for participating in the Bonner Scholars Program. And Mike was talking about those summer internships that you do. So you get $4,500 per summer internship. And Michael was mentioning that's 280 hours. When you break down the math, that's about $16 an hour when you're doing your summer internships. These summer internships are in addition to the Richmond Guarantee. They are not in lieu of or replacing the Richmond Guarantee. So if you play your cards right, if you do the Richmond Guarantee and you do our 2 summers through the Bonner program, you get 3 paid summers from the university. We like to, or I guess we're proud of the fact that our payment is a little higher right now than what the university offers. We're fortunate enough to be in that position. I'm sure that may not always be the case. They may up their funding as well at some point, but we are very fortunate that we can offer around $16 an hour for our summer internships. You also get money during the academic year. So you get $1,500 per semester, and you're completing about 125 hours per semester. So you get a nice about $500 a month stipend for your internship experiences, again, through the academic year. During your final junior and senior year, you get a $500 rising senior stipend. for your own professional development. Sometimes students are taking the MCATs. Sometimes students are taking other preparatory exams for graduate school. And this $500 rising senior stipend is a nice little bonus for you all during those final couple of years for you. And then finally, we offer guaranteed transportation assistance. So some of you might be thinking, hey, I want to come, I want to be engaged in the Bonner program, but I'm a little concerned about transportation. So we offer a full fleet of transportation vehicles that will take students to the different organizations that we partner with. So if you don't have a car, that is totally fine. We are committed to you getting to and from the sites that you'll be serving at. On occasion, we do offer students to use Ubers. So between that resource and our university transportation services, we're going to make sure that you get to and from your nonprofit organizations. So I think that's about it for funding. Mike, did I miss anything?
No, you did not. I will say as well, a lot of the information, I want to make sure everybody is aware as well too. We will work with you as much as possible as you navigate adjusting to college. We know this adjustment and looking at some of these requirements can be like, man, can I fit this in with school? Yes. Our job, and that's one of Blake and myself's job, is to make sure we guide you through not only our requirements, but your time here at the university. And so these summer services, these internships, these opportunities are, I think all of our students find them as opportunities, again, to get invested in the community, to grow professionally as well too, but also we'll work with you to make sure we put you in a space to be successful academically as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, we're going to go over a few folks, just give you guys some snapshots of students who have been involved in our program. All of these students that we're going to talk about have been highly engaged in the life of the university. They were committed Bonner Scholars, but they did a lot of other things throughout the university as well. Bonner Scholar was not the only thing that they were committed to. So to Mike's point, some students, they see the 10-hour mark, they kind of say, oh, can I do other things? Can I be a leader in other organizations? How much time is this really going to take? It is a commitment, but it is not the only thing that you will be a part of by any means. And as Mike said, we will walk with you throughout that process. We want to make sure that you experience the full life of the university. Bonner will be a really important part of that experience, but it won't be your only experience by any stretch. So this is Arthur Tarty. He graduated in 2017 as a leadership studies and international studies double major, worked with higher achievement. He then worked in our office as a senior program associate, went on to work at the Bonner Foundation itself, and recently just got accepted to American University. He's going to do a master's in international affairs and policy analysis. So super excited for Arthur, and I'm excited to see where he goes. This is Lena Torrejean, class of 2020. She was a political science and leadership studies double major. She did a lot of great experiences. She was a Newman Civic Fellow. She served at the International Rescue Committee, got involved with the Secretary of the Commonwealth, went on to Oxford after she graduated, and now she's in DC right now as the Afghanistan Program Coordinator at the Georgetown Institute. Another exciting student of ours. This is Peter Braun, 2021, Geography and the Environment major. Obviously Bonner Scholar, as the previous two folks were. Volunteered with the City of Richmond's Office of Sustainability, interned in DC, received some awards, and is now the Community Engagement Manager with the Capital Region Land Conservancy. So we're really excited that Peter stayed here in Richmond, and he continues to do great work here in the community. And then last but not least, this is Brianna Silva, graduated this year. She's a journalism and political science double major, also Bonner Scholar, got the Newman Civic Fellowship, interned in a lot of different places. This is a great example of a student who actually leveraged their opportunities to engage and volunteer with numerous organizations. Some of the previous students that we looked at really stuck with one organization for the entirety of their experience. Brianna kind of mixed it up a little bit. She started some of her own initiatives and interned at a variety of organizations, the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy, a couple organizations here on campus, one of them, the Scholars Latino Initiative, and founder of her own social enterprise, Mass for Richmond, and then interned at a number of places. One of them was even Senator Cory Booker. So I'm super proud of Brianna and excited to see where her next steps take her. So to wrap things up, we'll talk about the application process just a little bit. And this is our next slide. So applications are due this Sunday, May 8th. You can look at this link right here. That'll take you to our Bonner Scholars Program homepage. And on that homepage, in the very middle of it, you're going to see an application link. And it's going to ask you about 3 questions, 400 words or less. They're not intense. We do ask that you put some time in crafting your responses so that they're meaningful and we can get a well-rounded picture of kind of your potential and your interest in the program. But it shouldn't take you a crazy amount of time to fill out the application. We think that you all should be able to do it in a pretty straightforward manner. Mike, do you want to talk about some of the qualifications we might be looking for before we turn it over to Q&A?
Yeah, so I think our main goal, it's no right or wrong answers with our application. Our goal is just to gauge how you see yourself from prior experiences yielding to your civic identity and working in the community in some aspects, and then also trying to find out some things that you're passionate about. We don't want you to yield to trying to say things that you think we want to hear. We want to hear exactly what you're interested in. Let's say it's homelessness. Let's say it's food insecurity. Let's say you're interested in painting. We want to gauge based off of your interests how you feel like you fit with our program. So I think it's one of the less stressful applications that you'll probably have at the university. We just want to see you shine as much as possible.
All right, well said, Mike. So now we're going to open it to Q&A. We encourage you to use the Q&A feature here. We see some questions that have come through and we'll work through them one by one. We'll read them out so that everyone knows what the questions are that are being asked. Oh, nice. Thanks, Andy, for throwing that link there in the chat. That's helpful. Awesome. So first question we have here from Christina. Christina asked, do scholars have to commit to living in Richmond for at least 2 summers? Or can they participate in service in a different region? Mike, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, that's a great question, Christina. And no, we do not require you to stay here in Richmond. We would like for you to find spaces and places that you're interested in, whether it be back home. We have students that decide to go abroad, whether they're studying abroad or they're just going abroad themselves. So it's really just based off of your interest. If you want to do it here in Richmond, that's perfectly fine as well too. We want you to figure out places that you figure work into your professional goals, your personal goals, and then also the goals of the program. So no, you can do your service, summer service, wherever you would like to.
That's great. Awesome. Okay, next question that has come in. Are the Bonner Scholars allowed to do a paid internship alongside service during the summer? Go for it.
Yeah, so great question again. So yes and no. So yes, you can. We will, though, a part of our requirements, we will reach out to that organization and let them know that you are also getting paid by our organization as well, too. Just to make sure they're aware of what our program is. We'll reach out regardless just to make sure that they're aware of our program, but we'll also outline some of the opportunities that you have for our program to get paid as well. I will say, and this is where it gets kind of choppy, you can't do the Richmond Guarantee. Traditionally, it kind of gets fuzzy to try to do the Richmond Guarantee doing at the same time of trying to do the Bonner requirement. So long story short, you can, but if you have questions as you work your way through the program, that's a conversation that you and myself or Blake or one of our other colleagues will have with you just to make sure that you're getting as much money as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we've had different students who have interned at summer programs that they get a stipend as a result of that program. And they've combined the money, that we offer with that program. So it's definitely possible. All right. Any other questions oh, great. Leah, are students matched to an organization to intern at? Great question.
So yes, kind of. So what we do, me and Blake are part of what we call our student engagement team. And so what we do is we work on the student facing side. We work with y'all, we work with your students that are interested in getting engaged. But then we have a wonderful team that goes out over the summertime and throughout the academic year and creates partnerships with some of these community organizations. And per those conversations, those organizations tell us what opportunities they have available. And then also you work with Mike, I work with First Year Bonds. We talk through what your interests are and try to yield to those interests per what opportunities we have at our disposal. Now, you are applying to these opportunities using your resume and cover letter. But the goal is to find out something that you're interested in, get you matched with something. If the rare case comes in where you don't see an organization that you work with, that's what we, kind of go back to the iron and try to figure out the best organizations per your interest. And then also I'll challenge you as well too, to try to get outside of your comfort zone, which I think is another big part of our program, is to make students kind of get interested in other things. But we do make sure that we do get you paired with great organizations per your interest.
Awesome. What other questions do you all have for us?
Can I make more statement as we get these wonderful questions in?
That's right.
Another beautiful thing I think about our Bond and Scholars Program is the opportunity really to I think, get to know Richmond more than I think the traditional student here at the university would. And so I really hope that as you guys decide to apply, I know you guys are right now just excited to apply, is that you also get excited about getting involved here in the city of Richmond. Because as you start to work with a lot of these community organizations, you get to see some of the faces and some of the stories of some of the people that work at these organizations. I see students light up and want to get involved even more. So yes, our program is great, but getting involved with Richmond is even greater.
Awesome. Nice. Okay, so Andy, I see your question coming in through on the chat here. This was submitted prior to the start of our webinar. It says, could you do Bonner Scholar? Yes, can you do Bonner Scholars with other programs like PAM, Endeavor, etc.? Absolutely, yes. We highly encourage, we were sharing a little bit earlier, we definitely encourage Bonners to be involved here on campus. You are going to be growing as leaders out in the Richmond community, and we would love to see all of that leadership shine right here on the campus too. So we want to create space for you to get involved in different leadership programs like PAM, some of the other experiential learning programs like Endeavor, absolutely. Those will complement your experience as a Bonner nicely. Again, we have students who get involved in leading student organizations. We have students who are cultural advisors, who are RAs, all of those things. And so, take some planning and some, being thoughtful about your schedule and whatnot, but we have lots of students who lead in a lot of different ways within and outside of the Bonner program.
I'll also say our program also still gives you the opportunity to study abroad. We have a lot of students that still continue with their organizations. They'll put a pause in their organization, go abroad per whatever program that they're in at the university. We do ask them to do a tad bit of service just to kind of make sure that they're getting in that community as well too. But our Bonner Scholars also get a chance to take advantage of studying abroad, just like any other student here at the university.
That's great. Any other questions for us? And feel free to throw anything out there, whether it's funding, other concerns that you might feel like be a barrier for you. Anything that we can answer, we're happy to. Well, we'll assume that the silence indicates that you have had all of your questions answered for tonight. We want to thank you for joining us, for being with us. We really appreciate it. We're excited that you are interested and that you are excited to come and learn more about what the Bonner Scholars Program is and the potential it has for you here at the University of Richmond. Again, there's the link in the chat. Please check out our application. It is due on May 8th, Sunday night, and we'll be reviewing them shortly thereafter. We'll be in touch with students during the month of May and early June regarding their status for their application. So again, thank you. And if you have any questions, actually, let's drop our emails in the chat here, Mike. There we go.
I think I'm 2 steps ahead of you, sir.
2 steps ahead of me, that's right. Yeah, don't look at my email, look at Mike's email. He will answer your questions much better than I will.
Yes, any questions you have just about the process, any questions about our program, we'll be glad to talk and even, set up some time to talk. But again, application due May 8th. So I know, go ahead and start working on those things right now.
That's great. All right. Thanks, everybody. We hope you have a great night.